what would Jesus do?
Who created that?
Man.
Okay, so we
all want to be like Jesus, right?
Okay.
Jesus wasn't married.
Bro, son, come on. How long was Jesus here?
33 years.
How long was his ministry?
A lifetime.
3. You use him as an example, but throughout, let's go to the beginning. The goal is one man, one woman, one flesh. 2, which is 1 and 1 equals 2, become one flesh. Mm-hmm. That's scripture. Okay, so real quick.
But I just need to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jesus married or not?
I already answered that.
I didn't hear you.
No, he was not married.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep making your point.
Okay. Well, we can stay there. Mm-hmm. What is your point? Did he preach against marriage? What did Jesus say the reason why Moses allowed for divorce?
Infidelity.
No.
What? Adultery. No, it wasn't adultery?
Mm-mm. You think because the Most High allowed something that he approved it. Yeshua, Jesus said that Moses allowed them that certificate of divorce because the people's hearts were hardened. It's not his will, son. It's not. Mm-hmm. Truth is truth. It's not what we can make it. It can't. It's solid. It stands on something. Mm-hmm. Yahushua's mission wasn't to come here to have a family. His mission was to come here and show us the way and die for our sins and rise again on the 3rd day and give us salvation, access to the Most High, which we didn't have. He was locked in. So that's the danger in having a fear. I'm not saying you have a fear-based mind, but when we allow fear, or when we look through the lenses of fear, it changes really the perspective or perception of what he's trying to show us.
Okay, so the where that little clip came from was in the interview. Cam Newton makes this point where he says, my fear of divorce is greater than my need to be married.
Yeah, my desire to be married.
My desire to be married, right. And so he's trying to break down to him that like you're then allowing fear to rule you. And so he went on this side tangent about Jesus was never married, and you see him like he got confronted there on that topic. But that's something that I hear people say a lot, and especially in the red pill space, I hear people say, "My fear of divorce is greater than my need to be married." That's a talking point that they use a lot, and I think he did a great job in this interview. If you watch the full thing, where he explains to him like, God didn't give you a spirit of fear though, so where does that fear come from? And if you're allowing your fears to stop you from your purpose, then you gotta come to terms with like, are you actually living in God's will?
Cam Newton just trying not to be tied down.
He want to do his thing. And he want to make excuses for it. But the reason why I like this conversation is because we need to see older men confronting these type of men that perpetuate this lifestyle and that young boys look up to, because they'll use him as an example and say, this is why I don't want to be married, or this is why like I'm trying to be like Cam. That's always been. Go ahead.
Clip, I heard that part, and what I got out of it is like justifying how he lives. Was Jesus married? And he wasn't married, right? So I'm not gonna be married.
But Jesus also wasn't sleeping around getting a bunch of people pregnant either.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of those Gnostics that believe he was doing that, or one of them people that try to justify their lifestyles by making up stuff that don't exist in the Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
I would give Cam credit for bringing on guests like him, because
absolutely,
Jason Wilson has been doing a lot of work. For those who don't know him, he has a boys club. He specifically focuses on boys and teaching them how to leave childhood things behind and step into manhood by dealing with fear, anger, abandonment. He deals with a lot of that, and he talks about himself. He was once in the street. He was once wanting to be a rapper, all of those kind of. He was a producer, actually.
He was a producer.
And so I give Cam credit for that.
Absolutely.
However, I would say this: men like Cam Newton and people like him, not just men, actually men and women, because I've heard women try to explain this away. When these statistics on divorce, 80% divorce and this and divorce and athletes and all stuff, what people do is they use those things to hide behind their true intention, which is a life of promiscuity. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that what I said to you, Jake, earlier when we were talking about this?
Yeah.
Like I said the same thing, that the thing that I don't like about that is that you're using that as a shield to hide your true intentions. Because it's easy for a man to say that and then gain sympathy. Like, this is why I don't want to be married. Yeah. Go ahead,
Right.
James.
So what Cam is doing is this. He understands women's fear. And statistically, 86% of women file divorce. So he knows that the temperature of this country is geared towards female protection, divorce, this mindset, girl, I don't, you get divorced and I don't want to hurt you like that. So, but I'll pay for this lifestyle. So he's using the environment, the current day environment, the climate of fear to not be held accountable to the women he's entertaining by saying, "Hey, I'm actually doing this for you. I don't want to divorce. I don't want to ruin our kid's life. So why go down that road?" And he probably has a lot of talking points to keep a simple-minded woman, an unholy woman, being like, "Yeah, you're right. Divorce is ugly. You want to ruin this, girl? I could pay back. I could pay your bills. Why ruin
Mm-hmm.
this? I got
Mm-hmm.
you." So the reason guys like Cam will come up with a circular way in speaking is because they know that foolish women, and they know that women who are, let's be honest, Cam is a multimillionaire. They really want to get access to Cam's money.
Yeah.
That's Cam's way of talking them out of pushing marriage on him, because he'll say it's for you. So he has to stand on this message. And you, like we talked about, we're not having enough older, mature men and Jason Williams is married with two Wilson is married with 2 children, who can stand on this and say, no, you're wrong.
Yeah. And dismantle
And here's
all of
why.
that bad
And
logic.
dismantle it.
Yeah.
hmm So it's not, because people could easily say, oh, he's hurt, he's concerned as a rich athlete, or that could be part of it, or he could be someone who's using the current day climate and the manipulation aspect of it to keep those women. I'll keep you at the trough, but I'm not going to give you anything. But I'll get all the physical benefits from you. I'll even get you pregnant, have a child with you. I'll take care of the child, but I won't commit to you. I won't be in the home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There were so many aspects to this interview that, Jason had to deal with, especially Cam, like taking these evasive like conversations and talking points and try to slip through, get into the bottom of things. And Jason did such a great job of always reeling him back in to like, nah, let's stay right there. Let's talk about this. Why are you afraid? What do you have you seen in your life? And then he revealed that like he's kind of the black sheep. His older brother and his younger brother are both married. His father been in his life his whole life. Yeah, his parents been married. He's always seen that example of marriage. So that is an irrational fear. Maybe you've seen other athletes in your circle get fleeced by women, but I'm sure that there's a lot of bad decisions that went along with that.
Right. And may I add in, that could be a component of fear, or it could be a man wanting to let his fleshly desires control him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where he's famous, he has money. Cam is not an attractive man. He's what, 6'6", 250 pounds.
Yeah.
He wants to be able to use his fame and fortune to have access to as many women. So he claiming fear because women are already tapped into this fear aspect. He can use that too as manipulation to get them to like kind of fall in line, because he can use those tactics against them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And how they even got to the topic was they were talking about Shannon Sharp, and they were talking about because Jason Wilson
He did I'm sorry, Jamie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, real quick. I gotta make this point. Jason Wilson did a great breakdown during the Shannon Sharp debacle. He did one too.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. They addressed why he made that statement, and then Cam Newton wanted to try to like spin it into, but you can't really understand what someone like Shannon Sharp deals with, or someone like me deals with, because you don't have the same attention from women that we get. So you don't have to deal with the same type of discipline that we have to deal with. So he was trying to like make it seem like it's easy for someone to talk about discipline with lust or de-discipline when you're not having to turn down women all the time. You know what I mean?
Which I think I would say he has a point.
Yeah.
But I think we are all victims in different ways. Like we can be, even though that we might not be a victim or be victimized in the way they could be victimized, right?
Yeah.
We can still fall victims to other things.
Right.
And so for the way I see it is that it's the fear of the victimization. And when we see that happen, we go to thinking, how can we protect ourselves? Because that's really what, if you look at integrity or honor or even virtue, those words are literally connected to how you are secure in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually, it can't be real, because you've been victimized because you were actually powerless
Mm.
against something greater than yourself. So you can't, no matter what you do, you won't gain power. It's all an illusion, right? But this is what we do, and this is what he's talking about. So the fear of the Lord in the Bible says the fear of the Lord is pure, right?
Yeah.
And the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So without the fear of the Lord, when you fear being victimized, you will go into corrupted knowledge. You will go into corrupted wisdom or corrupted ways of thinking. You'll go down a path that's corrupt in your thinking, but it's because of your victimization. So you're always a victim, and you'll create something cause you to seem powerful, but you're actually powerless, and you're going to harm somebody else.
Yeah.
You're just going to make somebody else a victim in you trying to secure yourself,
Right.
right? Make yourself integral, make yourself virtuous. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and you see this, and you're like, how could they think this way? See, people think that way because you might not have to deal with what they had to deal with, right? You might not had the issues that they had, or become a victim of what they had to face.
Right.
So so people will look at, like, man, how could they, like, think about Michael Jackson, like how, like, I remember being in fourth grade and people would talk about Michael Jackson like he's a
Yeah.
weirdo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he, again, like, he was unique in what he had to deal with compared to most people,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
So
compared to anyone, there was no one in the world that as famous as Michael Jackson, and probably never will be. So that's something
right,
that he's one of one in that sense, where it's like no one's had to deal with that.
right. So he was victimized in a way that it was hard for people to connect to, right,
Yeah.
in that way. So it's easy to just judge and say, oh well, he's just a weirdo, you know,
Yeah.
you're trying to label it, right? And that's why we have to have understanding for where how could they come to those conclusions? How could they go down that road of thinking where they're trying to protect themselves and secure themselves, right, in a way that is actually foolish, because you can't protect yourself and control the situation, control the outcome, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what's the root of it? Again, what the root of it is fear, right? So if you don't fear the Lord, you're going to fear anything else, and from that comes corruption. From that comes perversion in your mind and in your thoughts, and you go down a path of trying to protect yourself and secure yourself that is actually an illusion. There is no security. There is no protection. And
Right.
I think so. We all can look at this in that way and say, yeah, I can understand, like, why somebody could get there, like Cam Newton. That's why I like that Jason Wilson is walking him through it,
Yeah.
right? Where you got to have grace for people. You might not be able to relate. Like, when people say, man, I don't understand how they could think like that. Yeah, exactly. You might not be able to relate in that way, but if you can take a step back and try to understand, then you can speak to people in places where you can see, okay, I get how they could come to these conclusions. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you can deal with that mentality, because all of it. How can you take scriptures? Oh, I know the Bible, but you take them and pervert them because of fear.
Right.
You take them and pervert them because you're trying to protect yourself. But it's, again, the only one who can protect you is the actual Word of God, Jesus. The only one who can actually save you from your fears is Jesus. You know
Mm.
that, and that's what I think Jason Wilson was kind of showing him. You're
But
making a
it's also it's got to be truly who Jesus was, because Cam Newton was creating this version of Jesus that fit
exactly
into the
what I
box
was.
of how he wanted to live his life.
Right, right. But that's the truth. You're perverting the truth to become your own truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I would say, to I don't want to say to be fair, but I'm going to use it anyway. To be fair to Cam is a victim. Cam is what, 30, 38, 36, something like that.
I
He's
think,
a
yeah,
victim.
35, 36. Yeah.
Right. He himself too, even though he thinks he's enjoying the pleasures of life, he's a victim of the modern man's thinking, which is this. Who would Cam watch when he was younger? He would watch Michael Irving. He would watch Deion Sanders. He would watch Brett Favre, guys like that.
Or
And he would
rappers,
see, or
hip hop
rappers,
culture. Yeah.
Um, he would watch any of those things that promoted a certain lifestyle. And for how many years? 30, 40 plus years, men like Jason Williams were relegated to AM radio, that
Yeah.
talking point, Christian talk.
Hmm.
They were never allowed in the space of daytime talk. There was never any pushback. When you have a guy like Wilt Chamberlain, he's way past even, he played in what, the 70s and 80s?
70s and 80s. Yeah.
Right. He went
He's,
on a
he
show,
played
he
in the
went on late,
'60s.
he
He
went on a,
played through, but he was in the 80s too.
right. Okay. He went on late night TV talking about he slept with 20,000 women, right?
Yeah.
the the media at that time, and even until recently, wouldn't allow men like Jason to come on and talk positive about marriage and God, the purpose of marriage, the sanctity of marriage, honoring your wife, honoring your husband, living up to that standard. That was never allowed until recent. So social media is a tool where Cam probably think he can easily dismantle him with coming up with these weird scenarios of, well, how old was Jesus? And those guys, they've been given a platform for so long, how to talk about a promiscuous lifestyle and a fun lifestyle, that guys like Jason Williams were never invited on.
Yeah.
And what he really is trying to do is trying to justify to Jason by saying, hey, we get tempted on all aspects. And that's true. Yes. Women are DMing you and trying to get at you. That's very true.
Throwing themselves at you
But
when you walk down the street.
right. But at the end of the day, you still have to be held accountable for your behavior. You can't,
Mhm.
that's still not an excuse. And
Right.
so I think that men like Cam Newton, they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor, whether it's money, materials, or access to plenty of women. And this is the first time since social media has been a tool that we're seeing men like Jason, because Jason is one of them, but there are many others who challenge this aspect of what fatherhood, husbandhood, monogamy, the idea of God, the purpose is. And we haven't seen that in a long time.
I like to think that
Aside from,
we were doing that from the beginning. That's been one of our core messages. You know, how long have we been
right.
talking about
It has.
shaming men like Cam Newton? Like, we got to stop. How many times have we put that message out there? Like, we got to stop making that the
Right.
cool guy. We got to stop
Right.
making the cool guys the guys that
I
can
don't
get a
know
lot
if
of
I
women.
would say, I don't want to shame anybody.
Not shame, but you know what I mean. Like,
I would say
we
like
can't
destroying
glorify
the
it.
ideas.
Yeah, we can't. We got to. I got to say. I'll say we got to stop glorifying and idolizing these type of
Right.
guys as our heroes.
Hmm.
We got to stop
Yeah.
doing
Exactly.
it.
We definitely
Mhm.
need to attack their ideas that are their corrupt ideas.
Right. And
Right.
this is the first time that we're seeing that, because like I said, you got to think of like the span of 30 years. We had nobody like that to stand up and fight for the true honor of what the Christ-like life is, a Christian life. We had nobody like that. You know what I mean? You know, even someone as conservative as Larry Elder, he's not married, and he talked about it. He said he focused on his career. We like Larry Elder's talking point, but he said the one thing he regret is not being married and raising a family. You know?
Yeah.
So you can have these talking points and political talking points, but your true purpose is not fulfilled as a man unless you are married, because you focus on your career. And he says that he's in his 70s now. And I remember he sat down with Candace, someone, and he said, she talked about, they were saying, what's your greatest regret? And he said, it is focusing too much on my career and not on a wife and a family, because he was married at one time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is tell young men, you know, we're trying, like you said, maybe not shame, but call out this culture of promiscuous, chaotic behavior that's going to destroy. Because Cam doesn't know the future, and those kids that he's producing with multiple women, you can't be in the home and be a father to them.
Right.
Yes, you're financially capable of raising them, but that's a whole different thing.
Yep.
You're not emotionally connected to them. You're not there with them. You're not building. So what kind of people are you going to produce? Same thing with Nick Cannon. What people are you going to produce when you're not there in the home, being a loving father to them and being an example?
But they love to bring up David and Solomon in the Bible because he did that in this conversation, and he did all the things that they do, and it's just great to see how Jason dismantled all of that stuff. So I really suggest, like, anybody go watch this.
I'm gonna go watch it. I saw clips, but I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I gotta go watch.
Watch the full thing. It's really good. And like you said, I give Cam credit for sitting there and like and having this conversation and actually wanting to hear his points. Like he did try to wiggle out of a lot of things, but he wanted to hear. It never got to the point where it's like, man, I'm not listening to him. You know what I mean? So I give him a lot of credit for that. So
and we have to look at it this way. Yes, right now Cam is in this particular path, but we don't know the seeds that God has planted through Jason. That in a couple of years, Cam would see the arrows wave and be like, "Hey, here's why I was wrong about this." We don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think, you know, people talk about discipline so much, and we've said it on here before. For some reason, when people get successful and get famous, they feel like that part of the discipline category doesn't exist. That doesn't.
right,
They don't attach that to manhood. Every other
right, and
discipline is attached to
right.
manhood. Your manhood is directly correlated with how disciplined you are in all these other areas, except for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
And that's the biggest downfall to
Mhm.
a lot of men is the sexual aspect.
Yep.
The multiple women, they want that.
Right. And it does so much damage to everything around you, society, culture,